Since 2014, the Pagan Business Network has been building resources by bringing together pagan-owned and pagan-friendly businesses. With multiple resources available, it doesn't matter if you're an artisan, musician, vendor, author, publishing company, blogger, podcaster, event planner, or any other organization. We have the resources here to help you succeed. Becoming a member is easy and affordable, even for the smallest of budgets. With your membership, you will get Business Spotlight, which is an article written in an interview style, complete with details and photos. Social media sharing through the Pagan Business Network. A blog roll. A membership card for discounts at participating businesses. You'll also get discounts on tickets to all Pagan Business Network events, and so much more. You can check us out at paganbusinessnetwork.com for more information.
Welcome to Elemental Energies with Chris Ann and Jeff. I'm Chris Ann.
I'm Jeff.
And welcome so much to our show. And you are listening on PBN Radio, a division of the Pagan Business Network. So thank you so much for joining us. And on this show, we like to have some lively discussions and conversations.
Absolutely.
So just to give you a heads up, you're welcome to chime in on our conversation on the chat room. And Jeff, go ahead, tell everybody how they connect with the chat room.
Well, if you go to pbnradio.us, there is a chat room there. You just simply click on PBN Radio Chat, and you're able to join and provide
feedback
information.
to us.
Yeah,
yes,
feedback.
And it's a free chat room, so
Absolutely.
feel free to join in. And the chat room is going on all the time, not just during our show, but everybody's show as well, all during the day and all during the night. And it's free to join in and chime in on the chat room. So tonight, as with every night, we always have we like to call lively conversation. And, sometimes we agree with each other and sometimes we don't agree with each other. But that's okay. That's sort of what makes life go round. So tonight's conversation is going to be about psychics, because we are both psychics.
Absolutely.
But the particular part of being a psychic, or actually not being psychic, is what we want to talk about. We want to talk about those that are sort of addicted to psychics.
Kind of, sort of, but we also want to touch base on what you can expect from a psychic.
Good point.
And, really what you need to do as the one receiving the benefit of a reading.
True, very true. So we're going to talk about all different aspects of that tonight. So we've got about 2 hours.
And we can talk for hours.
We
Absolutely.
can talk. Me especially. So, I was watching a very interesting show the other night, and it was talking about My Strange Addiction, which I believe was the name of the show. And actually, it was on a few weeks ago. And this particular woman was addicted to calling online psychics.
Absolutely.
Now, Jeff, I know you are an online psychic. People come to you and get readings in person, but you are also an online psychic, and you work for a number of different shops in Salem, Mass.
Right.
And different shops around the country. You are part of their online team.
Right. People call in and they pick me out of
the list.
Well, yeah, basically they can go there online and find me at House of Psychics or Psychics for Hire, and you can find me Jeff Nelson Stonebiter, Jeff Nelson,
on
whatever.
Facebook.
You'll see my picture. I'm the guy with the long hair. And if you click on that picture, then it'll take you to a profile, explain about me, how I do readings. And basically then you just click on an icon there, and if you're a first-time caller, it sets you up with how you're going to pay, etc. Your first 3 minutes are free.
Yep.
And you call and I do your reading.
Right. And
And
that's
it's by the minute.
right. And that's sort of the newer way to get a
Right.
reading by a psychic, as opposed to coming into our shop and saying, hello, I'd like a reading, or going to our website, www.chrisanne-jeff.com, booking a reading that way. This is another way for people to access psychics any time of the day from
Right.
anywhere in the world.
Right, and it's kind of like we are living in a society when people want things now.
Right.
And this way you can call and you can get answers immediately
Right,
to
because
your
you
questions.
see who's available,
Right,
and you can see if you want that particular type of reading from that type of reader, or whatever. It's like a buffet of readers.
it is really.
You know,
Yeah.
and you can pick whomever sort of suits you in the moment. So, in this particular show, getting back to the show that I was watching, this woman, who my heart went out to, by the way, she was calling psychics for everything, from what should I paint the color of my walls to what should I do about my dog, what should I do about relationships. I mean, it was everything from big questions to small, little, minute questions. And really, what it boiled down to was she had started doing this because her mom had passed away. She no longer had her mom to speak to, who was her rock and her best friend. So she would call psychics for everything.
Yep.
And, I can understand wanting to call a psychic if, you have a question about a job interview, or what job should you apply for, or a love life question, or whatever. I mean, there's a million questions that people ask us. But to call and ask some of the minute things just because you want somebody to talk to is essentially what this woman was doing.
And it's really sad.
It is. My heart really went out to her. So, there is a time when we, as psychics, have to take responsibility and say, you know what? You can do that on your own.
Right.
You don't need to call me. I mean, I don't know how many times I have said that to people. I don't do the online readings. I do readings in person or on Skype or through phone. And they can only find me either through Facebook or through the business page or through the website or coming into the shop or word of mouth. Mostly it's word of mouth for me. But there have been times when I've said, you know this answer already.
Right.
All you needed is confirmation for me to tell you this. You already knew this.
Well, and I've had people too that have called me in that situation, and I feel really bad for them.
Right.
And whether it's right or wrong, whether I could get in trouble for it or not, if they're just wanting a friend to talk to, I tell them, find me on Facebook.
Right.
I'll be your friend.
Right.
I won't do readings for you because that would be a conflict of interest and that wouldn't be right. But friend me. I'm willing to talk to you. Mm-hmm. I'll be your friend.
Right. And I think some, not all, but some of the responsibility is for us to say, you know what, this is going a little overboard. And I know you've blocked people because they were going very overboard.
Right. I did have one reader that I was really concerned about because during the reading one time, this readee told me that she was concerned because she was spending so much on psychics.
Right.
She didn't have her house payment. She was worried that she was going to lose her house. And, at that point, I became rather distraught myself because I didn't want to be the cause of anyone losing their home. And then, I was going to block her from calling me, but I figured, you know what? If she doesn't call me, she's going to call somebody else.
Absolutely.
And so what I did was I got all the information together I could to give to her in regards to finding help for her situation.
Which is the responsible thing.
And then, I say right or wrong, I started really getting after her and telling her that there was no point whatsoever in her continuing to call me if she would not take and use the advice I was
Right.
giving her in a
Right.
constructive fashion,
Right.
because what she was doing was I would tell her that things were going to work out, that she needed to do this, that, and the other thing.
If she did
If
A,
she
B, and
did
C, right,
these things, common sense things,
right,
if she would do this, how well it would turn out for
right,
her.
right, and easy
And-
things.
And easy things. And she would completely go the opposite direction.
And it wasn't things that would cost her money.
Right. And then at one point I just, I wasn't trying to be rude or anything. I just told her, I can tell you that you're going to win the lottery, but if you don't go buy a ticket, guess what?
Right.
You aren't going to win the lottery. You can only win if you play.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So anyway, that, and I don't usually get rude with
No, you don't.
with
You're appropriate.
people that call me, but
No.
I was, it was almost like, can I reach through the phone and it just kind of force it into your ear, so you hear me.
Well, I say to people, don't ask if you don't want to hear it.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And that's up to you to do what you want to do with it. And if you don't want to listen to me, don't listen to me. That's fine. But don't call me back like this woman was doing to you a
Right.
million more times saying, oh, that wasn't working. Okay, well, let's talk about it. What wasn't working? Well, then come to find out, she was completely doing the opposite and really being really self-destructive. She was
Right.
very seriously self-destructive.
And I did suggest to her that maybe instead of talking to a psychic, maybe she should actually go talk to a professional counselor.
Right. Any good psychic worth their
And
salt
I
is going to
even-
have that information
Right.
for
I
somebody.
even gave her names
Right.
of people groups she could contact
Right.
to help with her issues.
Right. Right.
But-
As a psychic, it's part of our responsibility to have different professionals, numbers and names on hand, because you know what? I'm not a doctor. I'm
Right.
not a counselor. I'm not any of those things. And if you need medical attention or whatever, here's the number. This is who you should contact. This is where you can go.
Right. And although we strongly believe in the things that we do, and we know the things that we say are given to us of the universe, when everything is said and done, what we do is provide a service
Right.
that is simply a service.
True.
And even we even put out a disclaimer that we are for entertainment purposes
Right.
only,
Right.
because you cannot live your life according
no.
to what you get from readers.
Right.
You need to live your life for yourself.
Right.
You need to grow
Right.
and go on your own path.
Right.
We can help you when that occasional stumbling block arises,
Right.
but we just can't guarantee. We
No.
don't give guarantees.
No. And nobody gives a guarantee. A plumber is not going to give you a guarantee.
I mean-
An electrician doesn't give you a guarantee.
What we tell you is what the universe gives us.
Right.
If it's and the future is always in motion.
Mhm.
If you're calling me and talking to me or seeing me in person in regards to a relationship or possible interest with a specific man,
Mhm.
he may catch the eye of another woman and decide to go another direction.
Right.
You, on the other hand, may decide that because I've told you things are going to work out, that you don't pursue the situation the way that you normally would with the
Right.
smiles and this, that, and the other thing. So, and it just popped into my head too. There's been quite a number of women that have called me to ask me about guys they were interested in, that were the guys interested in them. Well, and then I'm getting all these funny things coming through, and I'm like, well, Yeah, he's very interested in you and very attracted to you. And, something may come of it
Mm-hmm.
because I see him actually approaching you. And then they break the news to me that the guy's married.
Right.
And it's like, well, what are you going after a married man for
I
in the
know.
first place?
I know.
And that doesn't change the fact that he's interested in you.
No, right, it doesn't. But some of this, and I think people fail to remember this, that some of this is part of our soul's journey,
Right.
some of our soul's path. And maybe the soul's path is to learn to not go after married men or women.
Well, and also, truth be told, interested in you and is going
Not
to
a
fool
good
around
man.
with you on your wife.
Right.
That is not a good choice.
No.
That's not going to be an equal investment for you in the
No.
future.
No, it's not.
So another thing, my readings are completely different than your readings.
Absolutely.
Your
And that's
readings,
cool.
your readings are from the Akashic records,
Right.
the soul's history,
Mhm.
and where the soul is going.
Right.
My readings are simply a hodgepodge. I get stuff from the universe. I get stuff from my spirit guides.
I get stuff that way too. I get stuff from everybody too.
I pull runes, and a lot of it's from the runes. But
Right.
I'll tell you, when I am doing the phone readings,
Mhm.
runes take a. If you've ever had a rune reading, listeners.
So runes, let's
readings-
explain what runes are in
Okay.
case somebody didn't hear my interview a couple of weeks ago with you all about your runes. Let's describe what runes are.
Okay, so the runes are an ancient language that I use the Elder Futhark, which is the oldest, obviously the oldest. The Elder Futhark runes are a language used by the Norsemen and Vikings.
A pictorial language.
Pictorial language. It's a written language. It's a spoken language. They use it for magic. They use it for healing, shamanic, all kinds of shamanic issues. They also used it in a sing-song version to tell history. Like they were like the first bards. So anyway, I do rune readings using stones that I've hand carved with the symbols on them, and I've modernized the meanings to mean things that we care about today.
Correct.
We don't care about tilling fields and anyway, I won't get into that part. So we only have 2 hours.
Right.
So anyway, a rune reading it's good for 1 or 2 pulls if somebody is calling me up for a reading. But if they're calling through one of these lines, it can be quite expensive.
Right, and time is money.
Right. If they're wanting a rune reading, the most that I will keep pulling as long as, don't get me wrong, I'll pull for as long as they want to pay.
Right.
But I try and limit it to 3 pulls. Right. And oftentimes when I do a call-in reading, if they have specific questions, I put my runes away and I use a pendulum.
Right.
I have 3 pendulums standing by.
Right.
And we can do tons of things with pendulums.
Right.
We can do yes and no. We can do timelines, all kinds of things. And this allows me to basically, if you will, speed read.
Right.
Because these folks are paying $2.99 a minute.
Right.
And
you're the $2.99 a minute. There are some that are $7.99 a minute.
Yeah.
And more than that even.
I don't know if I could sleep at night charging $7.99 a minute.
And you don't get all that money. So let's just say that. You don't make.
It's usually about a 50-50 split.
Right.
Well, I mean.
And that's okay.
Yeah. The websites are paying for advertising.
Right.
They're paying for the website.
Right. It's going to pay for itself too.
Right.
And that's fine. It's a business, and you understand that, and you knew that getting into it.
But that doesn't, I have so many repeat customers.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah. 90% of the people that call me are repeat customers because they know I'm going to cut right to the chase.
Right.
I am going to give them exactly the information they need as fast as I can possibly talk.
Right.
And I can talk fast.
You can. And actually, that's kind of how I met you, not from an online reading, but we met on Facebook, and you had done a reading for me.
I know.
And
I know.
you were pretty good. I have to say, you were pretty good. It was
Not
a little
bad
bit
for
of
an
a test.
amateur, right?
Not bad for an amateur. That's okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're not an amateur. But it's nice to have a good psychic that you can turn to in time of need. And we're not talking about that. That is, it's okay to get a reading once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year. That's kind of, where a lot of my clients don't really come more than a few times a year, tops. Right. Except, and this is the caveat I'm going to use, except if you're at a psychic fair. Psychic fair, for me, when I used to visit them and not work them, now that I'm working them, it's too hard to get readings. But when I used to visit them, I used to enjoy getting a few different readings from a few different psychics. People that didn't know me, people that didn't know who I was and what I did. And I would not ask the same question to each psychic. I would ask a different question. I have a gazillion questions. And when you're at a psychic fair, those are mini readings. Those are quick mini reads. So I would ask different questions, and I would get that question answered from that one, and that question answered from that one, and that question answered from that one. And I would maybe do that once a year. And that was kind of fun.
I like asking the same question.
Yeah, I know.
Because then
I'm
like
one of the oddballs.
Get cooperation.
Right, I know. That's what other people do.
The funnest thing for me is when I'm at a psychic fair reading, I'm like, don't even tell me your name.
Right.
Just sit down and let me tell you. And then if you have questions, then we'll answer your questions.
When I'm doing a reading, I like the questions up front, especially for a mini read, because since I do so much, I want to make sure I'm going in the direction that you want, because it's your money. Right. What direction do you want this to go in? Hey, I can tell you what your past lives were till the cows come home. But if that's not what you've come to me for, you need to speak up and you need to tell me what it is. And a lot of people come to me with no questions. I had an 1.5-hour reading today, and she had no questions whatsoever. And in that case, I open up the Akashic Records. I'm keeping my ear tuned in to all the loved ones on the other side. But I'm pulling cards too, and let's see what direction, because then that can help trigger some questions for her if she has any. And 9 times out of 10, we're getting all the information right off the bat about exactly what it is she needs. And once they start crying, boom, I knew I've got it right. They all cry in front of me. And that's okay, because
it's a release.
It is, and I'm the safe place.
Right.
And, another thing that's good, and I know you are very similar, I don't remember my readings.
I don't either.
And I do that.
Not much about them anymore.
Yeah, it has to be like a very, very unique, special, really something out of the ordinary reading for me to remember it. But I don't remember my readings as almost like a protective mechanism. Because I don't want to be saying, hey, so-and-so was talking about this in the reading and that in the reading. I don't care. I'm not sharing your business with my next client and 2 clients after that. That's nobody's business. Everybody has their own deal. Let them deal with their own stuff.
It is funny, though, when I get repeat callers that are calling me on the website, on the
call-ins.
Call-ins.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hear their voice, and boom, I'm right back at their previous reading.
Cool.
So I can just carry on.
Cool.
I have some really interesting people calling me.
Cool.
Very interesting. But something a lot of people don't realize is psychics go to psychics for readings. Why? Because we're usually not very good at reading for ourselves.
Oh gosh, no. No, it's like counselors, psychiatrists need a psychiatrist. It's kind of the same thing.
So it's like when we have Reiki shares.
Right.
You go to another Reiki practitioner to get your energies straightened out. Well, we do the same thing with psychics.
Right.
Oftentimes we'll find other psychics that we like and that we trust, and we'll do reading trades with them.
And that's a really good point. Trust is so important,
Right.
because just to know that that person isn't sharing your deepest, darkest secrets, because I know the town's deepest, darkest secrets. Trust me, I could write a book, except I don't remember what I said to them. Nor do I need to. And
Right.
that's okay. Because, I want them to feel comfortable with what I've said, but I also don't want to be connected to it. I
Right.
cut. I cut when I'm done doing a reading, because it's not my deal. It's not my stuff to be worried about afterwards. I got my own stuff to be worried about. Trust me. I don't need this. It's not my deal. It's not my soul's journey. It's their soul's journey. So that's their thing to deal with. But just knowing that, I will read for myself. Of course, I got 50 million pendulums. I've got over 200 tarot apps on my phone alone. Of course, I will do a little bit of reading for myself, but mostly I will either have you do it
Well, and
or
then-
somebody else.
Right. And then we often read for each other.
Right.
But there are times when it's issues that we're both concerned about,
Right.
then we need to go to an outside source
Right.
for reading.
Right. And that's when it's great to barter or swap readings or, whatever. It can be really fun. Yeah. So, so we are going to take a little bit of a commercial break in a few minutes. But let me tell you once again, there's a chat room going on. So if you have any questions about psychics, how to get a reading from a psychic, when we come back from the commercial, we're going to talk a little bit more of how to prepare for a reading with a psychic. So if you have any questions about how this works or any of that type of stuff, go to the chat room. The chat room is located at pbnradio.us. P as in pagan, B as in business, N as in network, radio.us.
All lowercase.
Yes, all lowercase. And then you'll see the chat room there. Click on the chat. Was that over on the right-hand side?
Yes.
Yeah, so go to the right-hand side, click on where it says chat room. You
It
can
actually
join in.
says PBN radio chat.
Okay, thank
If you click on that, it opens up.
Okay, cool. So go there and you can chime in. We're watching the chat as we speak. Hello, Terry. Hello, Raven. Hello, Onyx. Everybody. Thank you. So we are watching the conversations, and they're chiming in on our conversations, and they're giving great feedback to us as well. But feel free to go in and join the conversation there, to join the conversation here. So that's how we can do it right now, as through the chat room. Eventually, we would like people to call in, but that's not going to be tonight. That's going to be on future shows. So for tonight, go to pbnradio.us in order to join the chat room and chime in on some of the other stuff. So we're going to take a little bit of a commercial break. When we come back, we are going to continue our conversation with Jeff and I on what to expect from a psychic, how to prepare for a psychic reading. I got some funny stories I'd love to share. So you're listening to Elemental Energies with Chris-Anne and Jeff on Pagan Business Network Radio. We're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere.
The Raven's Rune is a spiritual resource center where you will find magical things for magical people. Handcrafted candles, incense, essential oil blends, and amazing hand-tooled custom leather goods. Check out their Wheel of the Year candle and incense packs. Each Sabbat has its own special blend, made during the correct moon phases by a practicing British traditional witch, to give your magic a boost. Using her knowledge and expertise, these products don't just smell good, they work. And you'll love the hand-tooled leather goods, Book of Shadows, journals, bracers, candle mats, and many other ritual tools. You'll revel in the magical feel of old world craftsmanship. They also offer unique psychic readings. Liz is a talented sensitive. Her insightful readings are unique and come from many years of experience of working in the psychic and paranormal fields. Her compassion and empathy with clients make her readings truly meaningful. Let a consultation with this talented clairvoyant help you through the difficulties in your life and find the path to achieving your goals. So, if you're looking for unique and genuine magical wares and tools, be sure to check them out on Facebook at The Raven's Rune, or visit the website where you can see all their wonderful offerings. The Raven's Rune, www.theravensrune.ca. Have you been searching for that perfect candle for your project or working? How about for a specific intent? Something other than the big box store candles made from mystery wax? Then look no further. Visit The Waxing Witch on Etsy for the best selection of handcrafted candles anywhere. Pillars, votives, shaped, plus some giftable candles you won't believe. All their candles are made in-house using a variety of waxes: soy, palm, beeswax, paraffin, and all are clearly noted in the listing, so there's no mystery wax here. From a whole line of saints candles to archangel working candles, and you have to see the new Wicked Wonderland spell candles. They're made to work wickedly quick and wonderfully easy. Or the fun new Sanderson sister pillars. Those are a hoot. And I can't forget their skull candles. These are phenomenal. The burn is beautiful, and I really won't work a trick without one. But that's not all. Any candle can be customized with a scent of your choice, or even color if you prefer something different. They love special orders and will work with you to make your candle the way you want it. They do unity candles, hand fasting candles, or candles made for events, so don't hesitate to ask. You won't find folks easier to deal with, and they all come from their little shop on a Louisiana bayou. So do yourself a favor. Check them out on Etsy at The Waxing Witch. That's The Waxing Witch, witch spelled W-Y-T-C-H. Tell them PBNR sent you for a little surprise with your order.
Hello and welcome back to Elemental Energies with Chris Ann and Jeff. I'm Chris Ann.
I'm Jeff.
And welcome back. You are listening on PBN Radio, a division of the Pagan Business Network. So welcome back. Glad you are joining us for our continuing conversation on kind of all things psychic, I guess we're going to call it for tonight. So the next part of our conversation about psychics is how to prepare for a reading. And I have a very funny story that I love to tell. So I had this older couple come to me quite a few years back, and they were much, much, much older. They were very retired. And the woman really wanted a reading with me, but she was quite afraid of me. I'm 5'2".
I know.
I'm really nothing to be afraid of.
Unassuming.
I'm very unassuming. I'm very sort of fairy energy. It cracked me up. So she made her husband go first and come to me for a reading. And she made him go to the Catholic Church for confession before coming to see me. And I'm like, really? You really don't need to do that before coming to see me? And that I remember.
You don't judge.
I don't judge. And it really cracked me up. I mean, I didn't judge them for that. I laughed right in his face. And the guy was so funny, the husband. He says, she wants to come see you bad enough. I'm not going to tell her what you told me. I'm going to make her come and see you on her own, and I'm not telling her what you told me. He was a hoot. So you do not need to do that to prepare to come to see either one of us. But if you're booking a reading and you have questions, write them down. You know, that's really important.
Very important.
You know, we might be psychics, but we're also talking about time is money. You know, if you want me to take up your half-an-hour reading talking about all this other information that I am getting that's coming to me about you, but that may not be what you've come to me for, but that's what your guides are telling me you need to know, but you feel something else is more pressing, then fine, write it down and tell me what direction you want to go in.
Well, that'll also, if you write it down, that'll also be there to make sure that you don't get caught up in what you're getting so much that you forget to ask something
right
that you really need to know.
Right. And you know, I don't remember my readings, but there are certain readings that I do remember. And many, many, many years ago, I was reading for a friend of a friend. And she had come to me and she was talking to me about work. And I kept saying to her, you know, the cards aren't talking about work. And at the time I was using traditional tarot. I wasn't doing the Akashic records. I was listening to the messages from the other side and everything. And I was doing traditional tarot. And I said, you know, you keep asking me about work. This reading has nothing to do about work. These cards are talking about your daughter. You have a younger daughter you need to pay attention to. And she kept insisting her daughter was fine. Almost belligerent to me. And that's why I remember this reading. And I finally had to stop and say, I am telling you, you need to go home and have a conversation tonight with your younger daughter. Something is very wrong. I am getting nothing about work, nothing about anything. This only has to do with your daughter. You need to pay attention to this. And she did go home and have a conversation with her daughter. And as it turned out, unfortunately, her stepfather, the daughter's step-grandfather, had been molesting her. And it was a horrible situation. And he ended up in jail, which was a fantastic thing. I mean, and it's terrible that it even happened. But she didn't know what was going on. And if it wasn't for me saying that, she may not have found out then. So because I said that, it ended quicker than what it would have potentially gone on for. And that's an example of when I tell people to write it down, I'll say to them, just please listen to me and just write it down and look into this. You know, recently I had another woman come to me and she says, oh, you told me something in a reading. And I says, I don't remember what I told you. What'd I tell you? She says, you told me something about my son. And I said, I'm sorry, I really don't remember what you're talking about. You need to remind me because I don't remember my readings. But she told me this not in a reading. And she said, you told me during the reading that my son was going to have a health problem in his lungs. And she said, I didn't believe you because he's never had a lung problem before. And he was a sickly person. He was disabled with some other health problems. So they happened to be at the doctor's office having something else looked at. And she said, you know, just for conversation's sake, let's check his lungs. And they did. And they found a spot in his lungs. And they would never have found that spot because that wasn't the issue.
Right.
And because I had said you need to look at his lungs, and I was very adamant about that, she told me, because of that, she looked into his lungs and sure enough, there was a spot there. And they were taking care of that immediately, and it was not a minor situation. So those are times when I say just write it down. The information will come to you when you need it. Just write it down.
Well, you know, one of the nice things too, not that I'm trying to, you know, put on the dog or anything, but one of the nice things too about coming to you or I or anyone else that is also a reader and a Reiki practitioner is that we will get that kind of information through on a reading that another reader may not get.
Right, and everybody has their own specialty.
Right.
And
we all read differently.
Absolutely. Terry is on the chat room right now, and she's chiming in saying that she had a reading where a woman wanted to know about her kids. Meanwhile, her reading was all about her business going down in flames. And her kids were grown with families of their own, and they were fine. It was this woman that wasn't paying attention to her own deal. So, yeah, thank you for saying that, Terry, because I get it. I get it.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I say, my saying that I say all the time is I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And the universe will bring you that information. But if there's something that you want to come to us and talk to us about, write it down so you bring your list of questions.
Absolutely.
And just because I'm a psychic doesn't mean I'm going to psychically tell you what that entire list of questions is. I can tell you about all this other stuff, but if you don't tell me the direction that you want to go in, I might be talking to your dead cat from your dead grandmother who you knew 3 lifetimes ago when you were tilling the fields and got shot in the heart with an arrow. And that might not be what you want to talk about.
Right.
But that might be the information I'm getting because it correlates to something that's going on now.
Yep. Well, and I was mentioning about how I like to just read for people, not knowing anything at first. I do always ask if they have questions, but what I do is I tell them right up front, I tell them, well, hold on to your questions. Let me see if I can answer them without you asking your questions.
Right.
And I promise, if at the end of the reading I don't answer all your questions, I'll spend the extra time and answer the questions you do have.
Right. And you and I work a little differently that way.
It's more fun for me, to be honest.
For you it is, right. But in order for me to access somebody's Akashic Records, I need their full current legal name, because that's how I can tap into their soul. That's how I happen to do it. And I know everybody works differently than that, but that's the way that I do Akashic. When I'm at like a psychic fair, or I know people have hosted us to come in and read at private parties.
Oh, I love reading together. It's fun.
It's so much fun.
So much fun.
And we do gallery readings together. In those situations, we don't take everybody's name. I'm not tapped into your Akashic Records. I'm just doing readings, just readings.
And the people really enjoy it too, because you'll start giving them a reading and you'll pause and I'll just start going right on. But I love getting readings from you, especially past life readings.
Oh, when I do a reading for you? You enjoy that?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I really love that.
No? Well, you're welcome. I may be able to give you another one.
I pull a lot of things from my past life that I use in this life, things that I need.
And sometimes when you get a past life reading, it can open things up for you.
Right.
So sometimes that can sort of trigger things, whether it be on a subconscious level or a conscious level. But I think one of the most important things that somebody needs to pay attention to when they're getting a reading is to be open to the message.
Yep.
If you have spent your hard-earned money to come to us, and we do not take that lightly, we honor the fact that you're spending your hard-earned money in our shop to get a reading, to get a Reiki session, to take a class, whatever it is. We can respect the fact that there's an exchange of energy, there's an exchange of money, whatever. We are honoring that and we are respecting that. So you need to honor and respect that too, that this is the information that's coming through. And very rarely do I have people sit in front of me and go, no. That very rarely happens to me. That happened to me once. Yep. And
I think it's happened to every reader.
It happened, and that's part of a lesson. That is part of a lesson, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yep. But the fact of the matter is, there are people that come along that block the readers from getting information, number one. And also, truth be told, if I'm not getting information good for you, if I'm not getting information through easily for somebody I'm reading for, then I tell them, you might want to pick a different reader because our energies aren't compatible to the point where I can easily read for you. I've had people call me up and I'm like, I'll send you 3 free minutes because, I'm just not getting stuff through for you. And you should go back and find another reader.
Right. And that is being respectful and honoring that they are maybe in need and you're not the one that gives them the answers. There is somebody that can give them the answers.
I'm just not the right match.
Right. And that doesn't happen very often.
No.
Because
it's only happened to me, I think maybe twice. And I do see, last year I did somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 readings.
Right. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yeah, and you're always available 24 hours a day online, which
We
is
should,
not what I do.
we, you know, how about this? How
Yeah.
about after our next commercial break, we
Yeah.
come back and we talk about how different readers prepare for reading.
Oh, that's a good
That
point.
would be fun, wouldn't it?
That's a good point.
Then I can tell my story on how I prepare.
Ay, ay,
So anyway,
ay. Okay, we can go there. But yeah, so we have a few more minutes before we get to that next commercial break, so don't worry about that. But, you know, I want to talk about, I see going on the chat room that there's a conversation about people that ask for their money back after reading. I had that happen to me once. And as it turned out, you know, I gave her a fantastic reading. I don't know what she was complaining.
I can tell you what the deal was.
Oh, I know what the deal was.
Okay.
And I was getting a little bit at the time, but, you know, I'm very fairy energy. I didn't want to go there. You know, I trust too much. So come to find out, she was scamming everybody. She was getting the information she wanted, and then she would call people up either that night or the next day and say, I'm not happy with what you said to me. She did that to me. She did it to an acupuncturist in the area. She did it to a massage therapist in the area. She did it to multiple people in the area, and she lives in the same town. You don't do that. And she was somebody that was in business herself.
You
And-
especially don't do that to a psychic and
No.
an energy worker. That is bad,
slash
bad
witch.
karma.
Right. It was bad karma. And you know what? I sent every red cent back because I didn't want the energy of that money from her.
Right?
It was very bad energy. It was very, very creepy energy. And come to find out, she was scamming everybody. I gave her a great reading. I gave her what I would give to anybody.
Right.
I didn't want to believe that that's what she was capable of because I'm a little too trusting and too nice sometimes. That was part of my lesson. That was years and years and years and years ago. Many, many years ago, actually. And come to find out, you know, there was sort of a black mark against her name in this town. And you know what? You don't do that to me. So I did spread her name around and say, listen, just heads up, this is what she's doing. And through doing that is how I found out she was doing it to this one and this one and this one. And that's not okay because karma's going to come back and bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
You know, just because I don't tell you, according to her, that it wasn't what she wanted to hear in the moment, well, you know what? I don't always hear what I want to hear in the moment. It doesn't mean
Right.
it's not what needs to be. And that was only one time, and I will never fall down that rabbit hole again.
Well, in part of that you just spoke on, truth of the matter is, as psychics, sometimes we have to give things that we don't like,
Right.
things that are
Oh,
unpleasant, but we
yeah.
just tell it like it is.
Right.
And we don't do it in a hurtful way.
Right.
We do it in an honest, caring way.
Right.
But it's still your information. It's not
Right.
ours.
Right.
It's not ours to decide whether it's for your highest and best
No.
good. It is what it is.
Mhm.
And it's given to us to give to you.
Right.
And so we just hand it to you, and
Right.
what you do with it is what you do with it.
Right. I teach
It's
my
not ours.
No, it's not ours. I teach my students that, you know, it's not our job to interpret the message. You know, you might tell somebody, oh, I'm sorry, but, you know, the truth of the matter is you maybe really do need to get a divorce. And, you know, to me, that might be a sad message. And they could be sitting across from me completely rejoicing because they're viewing it as a good message.
Right.
That's not for me to interpret. It is only for me to give the information. And, you know, I'm not in a place to judge, and I'm not in a
No.
place to judge their information, their question, whatever. That's their deal. That's their soul's purpose, their soul's journey, not mine. That's theirs. So I teach my students, do not interpret the message. Give it how you get it.
Right.
So, it can be emotional work for us as well, too.
Oh, yeah.
I read suicides happen in waves. And when I get a wave of suicides, that can be very, very, very emotional. And, I read for a lot of moms that have lost children.
Right.
Those are really emotional.
Yeah.
Those, and like attracts like. So whatever, I tell my students also, whatever you've had experiences in your life, those are the clients you are going to attract. You've had bad relationships in the
That
past.
explains it.
See?
That explains it. All
There's a free psychic reading for you.
Thank you. I was always wondering, why are these people always calling me with
You need to take
issues
my class.
with romance? And it's like, oh man, I've had some Lulus.
You had some unique relationships in the past.
Absolutely.
And
Woo.
by unique, I mean capital U. Unique. I'm the normal one, and I talk to dead people.
Thank you. Oh, are we going there this show? Thank
yes,
you very
that
much.
I'm normal.
Okay.
But like attracts like, and because
Right.
you've been through bad relationships,
But-
you can understand it.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Right.
I can empathize
True.
with the people calling. So it's not so much that I get involved,
Right.
but my intuition will provide them with better guidance. My intuition can spark and give them information that they can truly use to better their situations.
Right. Right. Because you've been there, you've done that, you've experienced it, you totally get it.
See, I knew there was a purpose for all that hell I went through.
Time and time and time again.
All right.
Because you finally learned your lesson. You weren't learning your lesson.
Right.
Did you learn your lesson?
I'm with you, aren't I?
So you learned your lesson.
I must have.
Did I learn my lesson is the better question.
Well, you made a better choice this time. So
I
you
made a
must have.
fantastic choice. I did. Thus, we have this silly radio show where we have fun.
And,
So-
speaking of us having fun and
Yes.
us having this radio show,
Yes.
I am really excited about this show.
Me
And I'm
too.
really hoping that we can just expand this new station to incredible
To the ethers.
areas. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will. We're manifesting it. We will.
Yeah. I mean,
It's done.
why can't everybody come and have a good time?
Right.
Turn off the TV. Come back to
Right.
radio.
Get rid of the TV.
Yeah.
It's only sad, depressing stuff on the TV. I don't
Right.
even watch the news anymore. It's too upsetting for children.
Well, in the shows like The Bachelor, I mean, come on, give me a break.
I don't
really?
even watch those.
I
can't
don't
be
watch
bothered.
any of that, but good
But if they
sci-fi.
call, I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
We
If-
should go and give them all readings. That's what we
Yeah.
should go do.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
They need us on the
Yeah.
show. See?
So if you ever decide to be on that show, go for it, baby.
Yeah, please. No thanks. I'm on Twitter. That's enough. Thank you.
Yeah, really.
So before we take our next commercial break, let's let you all know the different ways that you can get in touch with us, need be, other than psychically. You can get in touch with us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, Elemental Energies with Chris Ann and Jeff. And that's our business page where we post different specials that are going on here in the shop or events that are going on in the shop, what's going to be talked about on our radio shows, all different fun information, different events that we're doing. So that Facebook page is Elemental Energies with Chris Ann and Jeff. And on Twitter, I do a lot on Twitter. It's at ChrisAnn1234. And you're on Twitter at
Yep.
MEYOUCAR, MEYOUCAR. And you're also at, is it Psychic Jeff?
Yep, Psychic Jeff.
Mm-hmm. And that's on Twitter.
Psychic Jeff Nelson, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
Haven't
check that out.
tweeted myself.
Oh yes, so they're making fun of us on the chat room about The Bachelor. We're not going on The Bachelor, trust me.
No.
Unless they want to call us to come and do readings for
Wouldn't that
all
be
of
fun?
those. No, that would be sad. really, because
Well,
I would not be nice by saying, "What the hell are you doing here?"
well, and that's something else we can talk about too,
Yeah,
about
right,
how different readings are, because
right.
my readings tend to be like a story unfolding,
Mhm.
kind of more of a empathic, because of my nature. Um, my readings have to do a lot with emotion
Yes. No,
in
mine do too.
situations.
No, I get
Yeah,
that. Mine are emotional.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
mine, especially the romance ones, I
Mm.
deal a lot with people that are having issues with self-esteem,
Right.
and they keep going for these folk, just like I did.
Yeah. Like you did.
That-
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
No longer.
Like I did, that wouldn't equally invest
Right.
emotionally.
Right.
And it was all in regards to self-esteem issues.
Right. Right.
And so,
And you've recognized that because
yeah.
you've come out the other end
Well,
and you've seen how much you can grow.
but the exciting thing for me is not only do I have the realization that people are all unique individuals,
Mhm.
and not
Yeah.
every woman, I don't hate women
Right.
because of the situations
you.
that I was in.
Glad to know that.
Each woman is different, just like each man is different.
Right.
And
I'm different. Let me tell you.
you're a good different. You're a very good different. So basically, what the situation is you really, rather than me bringing it through as negativity,
Right.
I get really excited because I can come through and turn that negative
Right.
to a positive.
And put that positive spin on it, and give people the positive, upbeat way that they can approach things.
Encourage them to
Right.
love themselves,
Right.
and not invest emotionally
Mm.
in people that aren't going to reciprocate it.
Right. Well, just realize their own self-worth.
Right.
Point blank, right there.
Absolutely.
And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people don't recognize their own self-worth. Many people are so invested in everybody else
Right.
because it's a little easier than investing in yourself.
And they're
Investing in
hungry. They're hungry for attention.
Right.
They
Well,
they need to be seen.
some people, and then other people just don't want to deal with anything on their own plate in life,
That's true.
so they deal with everybody else's.
Right.
Yeah. Well, not us.
Or they're
We-
like us, fixers.
Well, we're fixers, but that's why I have to cut after every
Right.
reading that I do, because if you're in front of me for an hour and a half, you're in front of me for an hour and a half. That's it. I'm not taking your life home
Right.
with me. I got my own problems.
Right. And yeah.
So we're going to take a little bit of a commercial break. When we come back, what are we going to talk about again?
We're going to talk about how readers prepare
Oh, that's right. Yes.
to read.
Yes, that's right. Oh, how we prepare. Yeah, that's a good one.
And
So,
we're just speaking for
us.
each other.
Right, right. We're not speaking for all
So,
psychics across the
Maybe
board.
we
It's
can
just
get
us.
the psychics in the chat room to chime in a little bit with us on how they prepare. readings. Wouldn't that be fun?
Cool. Yeah, check out the chat room, because of all of our contact ways to get in touch with us are posted on the chat room. Thank you so much, Terry, for posting all that for us. All the Twitter ways, the Facebook page, the ways. Oh, and the website. You can get in touch with us on the website, www.chrisanne-jeff.com. Thanks, Terry. Almost forgot our own website. So we're going to take a little bit of a commercial break right now. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. You've been listening to Elemental Energies with Chrisanne and Jeff, and you're listening on the Pagan Business Network Radio. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for something special? For something more than mass-produced and ineffective magical wares? Then let me tell you about Beau Magique. With their wonderfully unique magical wares, carefully handcrafted in small batches. From her charged waters using artisan well water gathered under the full moon, to their authentically crafted conjure and anointing oils, powders, and more. All handcrafted by Reverend Terry Brookins, using old and new recipes and super secret sources to be able to share her own brand of magic with everyone. Visit beauxmagique.com. That's BEAUXMAGIQUE.com. Visit today. This is what you've been looking for.